Well, good morning everybody, welcome back to another film. So it's quite late in the morning already. I've been searching high and low for the battery charger for my main camera. I went away about 3 weeks ago and I took it away with me. I took it out of the house and just for the weekend, and it was only sort of very last minute that I realised when I came to charge the batteries up for everything for this morning that it was missing, and I've searched high and low for it and I cannot find it anywhere. So I ran out of time and I needed to do my film today, so I've come out with literally all the juice that's left from a previous charge. So I've got to literally make every image count today, so there's no experimentation. I've literally just got to photograph the things that I find and not take too many shots in trying to achieve the results that I want. Now, generally I don't do that anyway. I'm quite selective with the shots that I take from the days of slide film where it's quite costly to do your photography on a regular basis. So at the moment it's showing a decent amount of power, so we should be all right. So I'll get my gear on and get down into the wood and see what reveals itself. It's really early on in the autumn season. Things are starting to change colour, so I'm quite hopeful for some nice opportunities this morning. And for those of you that complained about my lucky red trousers that I've been wearing recently, I've got some lovely grey and black ones on for you today. So if I don't find any images today, you've only got yourself to blame. Now, if you visit this channel regularly, you'll know that I really enjoy doing lots of close-ups, macro, intimate landscape studies, things that are generally easily walked over. And because we're in the early part of autumn, a lot of what I'm seeing on the ground is catching my interest. And I was thinking today that maybe a wallpaper series might be a good theme to shoot for, to give me some sort of goal to aim for as part of the day. Now, of course, if anything else should reveal itself during the course of the morning, I will definitely shoot that. But I just fancy having a bit of a theme today, and a wallpaper series might be a good idea. And by that I mean just images that are very repetitive throughout, or really easy on the eye, not too complex, but nicely composed, lovely and clean and crisp. The sort of image that you will put on the background of your computer as a wallpaper. So that's what I'm thinking for today. I'm just looking for a rowan tree, mountain ash, because on the floor here there's lots of mountain ash leaves that have fallen. Slightly different leaves to the common ash that I'm sure you're all familiar with, the one that's having problems with ash dieback at the moment. The mountain ash, the rowan, you can see has got these serrations on the leaf margins, and that's the main difference between the two species. Hopefully you can see that. Let's try and tap that into focus. There you go. You see the leaf margins, all the serrations. So that's how you tell the difference. But I was just wondering where the tree was, where they've fallen from, and I can't actually see it. Oh, sorry, there's one just over there at the back. So this little spot here is a place that I came to I think a couple of videos ago, and there was lots of sycamore leaves on the ground, and at the time they had like a blue appearance, and I photographed a couple of them right here. Now it's such a different look to it today, and a lot of the leaves have been replaced by the mountain ash leaves, and there's a couple down there that's really caught my eye. Now, as a background, there's lots of pine needles. I'm not sure whether that will be a problem on the camera, or whether it's going to be something that actually adds to the value of the shot. But I've just sort of lined it up quickly with the video camera just over the top to get a composition idea, and it looks really quite nice. So this is going to be my first shot. So, as just discussed, on the floor here you've got the mountain ash leaves that I've mentioned, and it's these two here that have really caught my eye. And the reason they've caught my eye is just because of the way they've landed. You've got one here closest to me that moves from right to the base of the stalk off to the left to the leaf tip, and this one has the base of the stalk on the left and moves off to the right on the leaf tip. And it's that sort of interrelationship that's really caught my attention. And you've got this lovely curvature of one moving in towards one leaf and that one moving in towards the other. And of course you've got all the pine needles. This is the bit that I'm most concerned about on the floor. As the background, you've got fallen leaves on top of the ash leaves, and I'm going to leave all that in situ and hopefully try and use that to my advantage. To my eye now, it would seem like the perfect opportunity for a nice wallpaper image. So I'll get the camera on that now and see how it looks. So I've just quickly lined them up on the video camera because there was something I wanted to try and illustrate, and that is the composition and how you fix it within the frame. Now you can see the two leaves here just at the bottom here, and this is probably the angle that I'm going to take it. But interestingly, the question is how do you compose it? How close do you go? So this is clearly far too far out, but what I'm thinking of, you can see now that the leaflets are the leaves are really coming into their own now and starting to form part of a dominant part within the image. And it's how close do you go, because the surroundings is actually quite nice, but I'm thinking somewhere round about that is what's really appealing to me most. I think if I go out a little bit further, they become a bit lost and it becomes more about the surrounding elements. I quite like it where it's clear to the viewer what they're supposed to be looking at. I may just remove this little leaf at the bottom here. That's not really adding anything to the frame, and I am questioning whether that also needs to go, but we'll see in just a second. So I'm really liking this. Camera's obviously directly over the top, and because I've got limited battery power, I'm not doing any focus stacking today. So one of the benefits or the beauties of this particular subject is that it's lovely and flat on the surface, and I don't have to worry too much about depth of field. So I've chosen f/19, and I've taken a quick test shot, and it looks really, really quite nice. Now you have to remember that this is medium format camera and it's a 4x5 crop, so it's slightly different to what you've just seen on the little video camera, which was more of a 16:9. Well, it is a 16:9. I quite like that crop when I saw it, and what I thought was immediately that I'd probably zoom out with this and then crop it back to that 16:9. But now that I've got the camera up on it, it just looks lovely in the 4x5. It just sits so nicely. I'll show you that now. So there's my composition, all complete. Really, really nice composition, absolutely love it. And because I've gone for that 4x5 crop, the problems that I had that I mentioned that might need excluding aren't a problem anymore. But what a lovely, lovely shot. And you could argue that that there are two elements to it and your eye bounces from one to the other, but it really doesn't bother me in this instance. I just love the way it looks. The pine needles that was troubling me, that I thought might be a problem, are absolutely fine. In fact, some of them are catching the light from the bright white sky above, and I love the way that they are being rendered on the final frame. So I'm going to put that on now. Seems the weather could be playing me up today. I've come to a little bit of the woodland that I've never been to before. A lovely big beech tree that I've just never seen, and the remnants of an old hedge line just behind me over there. I've been coming to this wood for years and I've just never taken the turning that's brought me into this little section, but really quite nice, and a place to shelter perhaps, because I think there's some rain coming in. Just felt a few drops just then, and you might be able to hear on the microphone the wind has really picked up as well. Now this isn't forecast for today. I've rather stupidly left my umbrella in the van, and this coat, as good as it may look, is not very waterproof at all. So I'm hoping that just passes over in the next 10 minutes or so. The forecast is for bright conditions, which, as you can see, we've certainly not got right now. So I'll hang around this area, then if the heavens do happen to open, this will provide me with some shelter for about 10 minutes at least, until it passes. or it's one of those situations that if the rain comes heavy enough, eventually I'll start to get wet under here as well, so fingers crossed that doesn't happen. So I found a potential image, and it's not, doesn't fit in with the wallpaper theme sadly, but I can't pass it off. It's too nice, and it's this little group of Mycena mushrooms just on this fallen log here, and they've created this beautiful conical shape. There's 5 of them all together, and apart from the one on the top here, they're all in pretty much good condition, and I can just angle the camera around to the right hand side there for the best point, and it pretty much excludes a little bit of a chip bit off this left hand side here. And this one I can make a little exception for, because where it's missing, the one below it has grown into it, so I'm happy with that. But what I also love is the mosses growing around it, and the lovely reddish bark, or it's not bark particularly, but the heartwood, the bark's come off. The heartwood of the old trunk here is nice and rusty red colour. So I think that will make a nice composition, and certainly one that would, if I don't find any other wallpaper images, this one would sit really nicely between 2 other images as a final triptych. So my lack of preparation has got the better of me again, not checking to see if I have my chargers to hand in the days running up to today, but also this little Manfrotto light, which I often use when I'm photographing fungus mushrooms, to light the underside of the caps, and I've just gone to turn it on, and it's flat. I probably haven't used it since last autumn, to be fair, so I should have checked that sooner, but I didn't really think I was going to be finding mushrooms today, so yeah, underprepared again, unfortunately. But in trying to think of something I could use, I realised that I've got a new watch recently, and this is the Garmin Phoenix, and it comes with a torch on it, and as much of a gimmick, daft idea that might sound, it's been so useful ever since I've had it. You know, putting keys in the door at night or when it's dark outside, and looking for things in the boot of the car, you've always got a torch handy. And I'm not sponsored by Garmin, it's just I think it's a great watch, but that little feature there is something else. And I've used it just to light the underside of the caps whilst I was taking the images just now. So with that aside, I'll just show you the composition, and then I'll put the image back. I'll put the image on. Just incidentally, you can probably get this watch on Amazon, so if you can, I can find it, I'll put a little affiliate link. And like I say, I'm not sponsored, and if you want one, it'd be good if you could use that affiliate link, and I get a little contribution towards that. So I'll show you on the back of the camera now. So there's my composition. As you can see, got that lovely conical shape of the little group there, and I've done my best to hide the damaged caps, and yeah, it forms quite a nice composition. Now I've offset the mushrooms just off to the right hand side ever so slightly, just to create a little bit of balance. I never like to stick them directly in the middle, and yeah, quite a simple straightforward shot. Now I have done a focus stack with this. I know I said I wouldn't risk taking too many images, but I just couldn't not with this one, because the caps, when you get the caps sharp, even when you're stopping the lens down, I wouldn't go more than f/19 with this particular lens. After that, it starts to get a bit soft. So even at f/19, I was finding that the stems were not sharp, and there was some fall off, and they were quite soft. So yeah, as you may know, that depth of field decreases as magnification increases, so because this is quite a close shot, the depth of field is quite difficult to achieve. I'll just quickly show you the lighting underneath. Whilst I've got it, you can see there, makes a bit of a difference to the underside of and just lights the stems up really quite nicely. The sun's coming out now, so there's lots of light bouncing around, coming into the lens. So it's a 120mm macro lens, f/16 at 1 second at 100 ISO, 2-second timer, a series of 5 shots in total, all stacked together in Photoshop. So I'll put that on now. things seem to have got a little bit more complicated now. The rain has stopped, but the downside of the rain is, of course, the floor is now quite wet, and that presents all sorts of problems with reflections and highlights on anything that I might want to photograph down there. The sun keeps peeping out, and I'm hoping that doesn't persist, because that will really add to my difficulties. The forecast today was actually bright, overcast and no rain, and we've certainly not had that yet, but I'm optimistic. I'm still searching for that third image. What I would like is to get that triptych. I always like to put those out if I can. I think they'll look really nice as a group of photographs. So onward with that search for that elusive last image, and let's hope it's a good one. I think we might be onto a winner. Such an unassuming part of the wood. I was just walking along the footpath here thinking to myself, the problem with woodlands when you're deep into them and you're looking for a variety of images is that a lot of the woodland is repetitive. So it does pay to come into little different sections where there's different trees and look there. Like this morning I've gone through pine woods, I've gone through a general area of broadleaf woodland with lots of sycamore, and now I've entered an area that's predominantly sycamore, but there's one or two older trees dotted around, and just here right by my side is a fallen older branch, and the leaves have curled up, they're starting to die off, but the tops of the leaves are catching the light, and that if I just get the exposure right on those highlighted parts, it'll have a real moody look to it. And the leaves themselves have got this lovely golden brown tones, which I really like in my images. So this is definitely on the cards. There's quite a bit of management to do. There's some green bits peeping through, and I want to try and exclude those as much as possible. I just want it to be all about those lovely brown tones. I've just had the little video camera over the top of it, and it looks fantastic as a 16:9, as did the first shot. So it'll be interesting to see how this works out when I get the medium format camera over the top of it. But this has got a lot of potential, I feel. There's a lot of depth between the bottom leaf and the top segment, so I don't know how that's going to work. Like I say, I'm limited on battery power, but this has to be a focus stack, and I'm just going to risk it. So here is my group of leaves. Just see through the tripod legs. I've got the camera positioned above the composition, and it's this leaf here, this one, this one, this one and this one. These are all the upturned leaves that are catching the light from above, and it's those leaves that I will base my exposure on. There is another leaf just here, but it's not quite so bright and not so dominant. But what you've got is this central rib of the branch with all the leaves coming off it, running diagonally through the frame, and everything else is just scattered around. I'll just quickly show you on the back of the camera now, and then I'll put the image up. So there's the frame, pretty much as I've got it taken. It's lovely, dark and moody as I suspect, and you can see this line of leaves running through the composition there, and everything else just helping to hold it all together. There are two little areas of concern, which are this leaf down here. I haven't moved it because there's a risk of it damaging all the composition in pulling it out, so I may just tone that down a little bit in post. Now, to be honest, I like to put a small vignette around the outside of these images anyway, so that you focus your attention on the main subject matter. So that will probably darken by default anyway. And similarly, you've got a stalk down here on the left hand side that's just picking up a bit of light. It's not showing that well on the video camera, but that bothers me a little bit. And then you've got a rowan leaf in the top here. Again, that will probably tone down and you won't notice it as much, but it's all going to be about these little leaves here all catching the light, and look at the textures of them and the ribs, really beautiful. So I'll put that image on now. Well, I hope that image turned out as I expect it to. There was one or two little difficulties with it. The very top leaf of the branch there just keeps catching the wind, and I've been here probably best part of 20 minutes, half an hour, taking the sequence of frames for the focus stack, just praying that the light didn't alter between those frames. I don't think it has, so you've seen the image, of course, so you'll know now. But yeah, it was a bit difficult just waiting for that to stop, making sure that everything was pin sharp between each focus stacked image. So I'm going to put all the images on now and say thank you all ever so much for watching once again. Leave some comments below, let me know what you think of today's images. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell for notifications, and if you want to become a channel member and support the channel even more, you can always become a member of YouTube or Patreon from as little as 99 pence per month. It just helps to keep the channel going. So until then, I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.